Hey, what's up, Raider Nation? I'm Chantel Chan. Lots to get into on today's episode. Of course, the Raiders playing Thursday Night Football against the Broncos, but also no more Jakobi Meyers on the squad as he got traded to Jacksonville. So who on the Raiders will be stepping up in his place? We'll talk about it on this episode.
Raider Nation, what's happening? Q Myers here, and it is game day. Weird things happen on Thursdays. The Raiders are big-time underdogs, but again, weird things happen on Thursdays. We'll break it down here.
Raider Nation, Professor Kennedy here. Look, yes, weird things do happen on Thursday, and I'm part of it. Let's do this. Let's talk about Raiders versus the Donkeys. Let's go.
Raider Nation, it's time. This is the Raiders Squad. Everything Las Vegas Raiders every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Death Star in the desert. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Commitment to excellence starts here. The Raiders Squad Show starts now.
Hey, what's up, Raider Nation? And remember, if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media channels. You'll see in the description below the ways that you can connect with us. Also, we're on the audio side. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to this and not watching this on YouTube, we're on both. But if you are on the audio side, remember to leave a rate and review. Give us a 5-star because that helps the channel grow. And we do appreciate everyone that's been rocking out with the show, that's been helping the channel grow. And of course, if you're making Locked On Raiders with Q your first listen of the day, and the Raider Squad Show your second listen of the day, regardless, we do appreciate you and we do appreciate your continued support. Before we get into what's on the show today, I want to quickly give a shout out to our sponsors. Today's episode is sponsored by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And of course, in the final segment, Q and Linc are going to be taking some of your comments, answering some of your questions. So get those into the chat if you're watching this on YouTube right now. If you're listening to this, you can always do it later. We may be able to get to it on another episode. And of course, we are going to be talking a little bit about the rookie report. We've done this before. Bech, Thornton Jr., they have a chance to possibly step up in place of Jakobi Meyers being gone now, traded to Jacksonville. And guys, I think that's where we have to start off first, actually, just in terms of Jakobi Meyers being traded. And, I felt like we all kind of knew this was going to happen. I think we hoped it wouldn't happen because I think we all rock with Jakobi here, guys. But very interesting because I feel like the Raiders made it so, they made the draft a little bit more interesting because that's what they got out of it. They acquired a 4th-round pick and a 6th-round pick in exchange for Jakobi Meyers heading to Jacksonville. And it looks like they've have 8 picks in the 2026 NFL draft, but then with the compensatory picks as well, it could be about 10 or 11 picks, which is great. Linc, we'll go with you first. Just your thoughts on this move and what they got back for Jakobi.
Well, look, I woke up this morning. I wasn't expecting a math test, but it is what it is. Here's the thing: we talk about the trade deadline and everything else that comes in compository picks. It's all relevant. I didn't like the way the Raiders handled the entire Jakobi Meyers situation. I thought they should have paid the man. I thought he was good enough to keep. Compliment. Obviously, he's not a number. And I'll say this: he's not a number one. He never made himself a number one. But there were things that you can do as a number 2 places for this offense. With that being said, look, we knew it was on the horizon. We knew it was going to happen. We kind of felt with the trade deadline, this is what was going to happen. So the Raiders are left to pick up the pieces. And to be honest, Q and Chantel, look, I came into this entire trade deadline situation thinking the Raiders weren't neither sellers nor buyers. They had to remain neutral because they have the cash and the availability to push for the future. But I don't know if it's going to happen now. I'm hoping. The only thing that comes out of this trade deadline, I'm hoping that they play the young guys.
Right.
And we'll talk about that some more throughout our show. I'm hoping they play the young guys so they see what they have in relevance to the National Football League and everything else. They see what they have, but then they know what, this guy's not this or this guy's not that. We need to go out and get that. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, that's all you can really do at this stage of the game. And I was one that was very vocal that I was hoping that Jakobi was not going to get traded. I think he was really good for this Raiders team. I think he was good for the locker room. And Obviously, love the players there. But again, we knew the math equation. Like Lincoln said, I was told there was going to be no math, but we knew that there was a math equation, right? We knew that the compensatory pick, the formula, especially with all the salary cap space that the Raiders have in 2026, they're going to spend more money in free agency than they're probably going to, then they're going to lose. So they wouldn't have got a comp pick anyway. So for John Spytek, I got to give him credit to get a 4th and a 6th round pick. I thought that was pretty good compensation. I know the teams like the Steelers, the Buffalo Bills, there was a couple other teams that were interested in Jakobi, but Jacksonville, they upped the ante and gave the Raiders a 4th and a 6th. So I think that does help with the draft coming up, and what can John Spytek do? Because this team needs a lot of talent. So they've got, like you said, Chantel, they've got 8 picks right now. They'll probably get 10, a comp pick for Trayvon Merrick and a comp pick for Robert Spillane. So, that'll be 10. And then whatever they do once it comes to the draft, they do all the wheeling and dealing, but that's for some months from now. But they put themselves in the best position that they can given the circumstances. And I hope that Jakobi has a successful career there in Jacksonville. If he gets a contract extension, great. If he doesn't, then I'm sure he'll go somewhere and get a contract extension. But I'll tell you what, he was a dude that did everything that he was asked to do while wearing the silver and black. So I definitely salute him.
Good team.
And I was going to save it for later, but we might as well just talk about it now, guys, because you talked about how great Jakobi was, not only on the field, but also in the locker room. I think he meant a lot to those young guys, Q and Linc. Mm-hmm. I want to know what you guys think about who's going to step up now in his place, because obviously there's a huge hole. They brought in Tyler Lockett, and that gives you the veteran presence. But we know Tyler Lockett is not the Tyler Lockett of the Seahawks.
No,
he's not that guy anymore.
No.
So who on this team is going to step up in the place of Jakobi Meyers? We'll go with you first, Q.
I mean, you're going to have to do exactly what Linc said. The young guys are going to have to step up. Look, Thornton Jr. was a healthy scratch on Sunday against Jacksonville. Bech didn't get one offensive snap against Jacksonville. So those are the first 2 guys immediately that are going to have to slide in there. The problem is for a guy like Thornton Jr. who runs routes that are, take a little bit longer to develop, this ain't the game for that. This game against the Denver Broncos will not be the game for those developing plays downfield, because they get after the quarterback in a major way. They lead the league in sacks right now with 40. The Raiders have 16, right? You do the math, right? That's basic math right there. That's a whole lot to a little. So they're not going to have a whole lot of time to try to let some big plays develop. But moving forward, it'll definitely be a showcase of Thornton. It'll definitely be a showcase of Bech to see what they have. And you have to be able to see what they have. I know that they'll see what they got in practice, but practice is one thing. You're going up against yourself. What does it look like when you're going up against an NFL team, right? And so that's where these guys have to start developing. Like, one of the big things that I was saying at the beginning of the season is you have Brock Bowers, you have Jakobi, you don't have to rush these guys into action. Well, guess what? Now you got to rush them into action. Now it's like, okay, hey, you've had, 9 games to kind of get acclimated to the NFL. Now you're not a rookie anymore. It's go time. And Linc, that's just the reality of it. You don't get, a whole year for a redshirt year, right? Once you're a professional, it's go time.
And that's the reason, Q and Chantel, that you have to put these young guys out there, because you have to see how they explore and how they create and how they develop under the natural light that is game day Sunday. Look, when it comes to who's going to stand up, it's anyone's guess. This is a very young team. This is a team that has not created its own identity. Look, Geno Smith has to come out of his shell, because the rest of the league's got the knock on him. Mm-hmm. Let's play cover 2. Shut down the shallow stuff, and allow Geno to explore the possibilities of turning over the football or throwing it to the wrong person. So I mean, there's that to be said. It's not an easy question, Chantel, who's going to step up, because we don't know what we're looking at, and that's just what it comes down to. Is this a running team? Is this a passing team? Will they use the short passes or intermediate passes to get where they need to go? This has not been a credibly functioning offense so far this season. So we're left guessing.
Yeah, and I think you guys both kind of said it. Like, the young guys have to get that burn now. They have an opportunity. But like you said, this might not be the game against the Broncos. But at the same time, because it is a short week, there are possibilities that these guys could, put on a little bit of a show. I think for a guy like Bech, who I believe was the 2nd round pick in, this past year's draft, so much hype on him coming into this season, and we haven't seen too much from him. Like we've seen a
Yeah.
little bit, and I don't know if that's just because, just how things have played out with the offense and whatnot. But what are your guys' thoughts on Jack Bech and the hype coming in? We know that he's a hard worker. He has great character, and we've seen what he did at TCU as well. But what do you guys think about what you've seen from him so far? And is there more pressure on him than a guy like Thornton Jr., who we kept on talking about during training camp? Right, he was the guy that had all the headlines, other than Darian Porter. So, what do you think about that, Linc? Do you think that there's a lot of pressure on a guy like Bech more so than Thornton Jr. just to perform?
The pressure falls on Geno Smith, the quarterback, who's engineering, who's running this system. Look, you can try to implement as many plays as you want for one player, but it's going to come down to the quarterback. Does he get the football? And how does he get the football? You see what I'm saying? That's what it is. Here's the thing. When you go into a huddle, you call a play. I know it's specifically for Tim Brown or Jerry Rice or whomever. I understand that I need to protect long enough for those guys to get open. Those guys understand that we need to run the route, create separation, give my quarterback a chance. Quarterback knows that I want the ball to go to Jerry Rice, Tim Brown, whomever it is. I'm going to try to function on that without throwing, without leading all the defense over to him. You see what I'm saying? That's how the offense plays. We're not there yet.
Right.
Geno Smith has to be that person that points to the Jack Bech. It doesn't matter whom it is. Points to someone else. I want to get them the football. That's what it's going to come down to. Execution.
Yeah, if anything, there's pressure on Chip Kelly. I'll go back to that. I think there's a lot of pressure on Chip Kelly. He's got to design this offense, right? He's got to, and look, he can only do so much. He can only call the plays. Obviously, the players got to go out there and execute, but he's got to learn how to get all his players involved and really play to their strengths, right? Not just necessarily play to his system, but play to their strengths. How do you put Bech in the best position to succeed? How do you put Thornton Jr. in the best position to succeed? How do you use Ashton to the best of his ability? How do you use Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer? Like all these guys can step up and you can almost look up and say, hey, Jakobi Meyers not being there, no harm, no foul, right? I mean, because there are still weapons on the team. But how do you distribute it? How do you get it going? So, again, that goes back to Lincoln's point about Geno, right? You can't get fixated on one guy. I know he wants to get the rock to 89, and you're going to probably see a heavy dose of 89 today get the ball, especially without Pat Surtain out there for Denver. But at the same time, you can't just be one-track mind. You can't just be feed him, feed him, feed him. They're going to jump that route and take it the other way. Oh, by the way, they get after the quarterback really well. They take the ball away really well, too. So, you just can't. Those routes are going to get jumped. So Michael Mayer is going to have to get involved. Trey Tucker, who's leading the team in receptions, he's going to have to get involved. Ashton Jeanty, I've been screaming from the mountaintops, 20-5, 20 carries, 5 catches a game. Like that should be a minimum that he gets every game. Like, how do you use these guys to the best of their ability? I don't want to have an OC that's just going to make play calls that, that's what he runs because that's his system. I want to see a guy that's going to go out there and put the players that he has to work with in the best position to succeed.
Yeah, a lot of eyes on Chip Kelly, too, because obviously his first season with the Raiders and, of course, coming back from college into the NFL, I feel like he's had a lot to prove. My final question about the trade as we move on into the Raiders-Broncos preview, guys, and this is kind of a tough question to ask because we're not actually going to know until like a few years later or maybe even down the road, but I always ask, like, who won the trade? Right? Did Jacksonville win the trade or did the Raiders win the trade? Or were you just kind of happy with what the Raiders got in return for Jakobi Meyers? Personally, I think them getting a 4th and a 6th was great. Q, what are your thoughts? And who do you think won the trade? Is it too early to ask that?
No, I think both teams did, right? I mean, they got a reliable receiver in Jakobi Meyers that has a really good set of hands that is looking for a contract extension. And he goes to a team that has a little bit more hope to try to, make the postseason, right? Look, let's not be honest. I mean, look, we saw the Jacksonville game. They weren't great, right? They're not like some fantastic team. They're not 7-2, right? I mean, they barely won that game against the Raiders. So he's got an opportunity now. They got what they're looking for, especially with Travis Hunter being out at least 4 games, probably more than that. So they got another set of hands out there that can run routes and is going to be a pro. And the Raiders got something that they need. They need draft capital. They need to get as much talent as possible, whatever they're going to do in this upcoming draft, whatever positions they're going to go target. So I think this is a scenario where both teams somewhat got better, right? Obviously, the Jaguars got better with talent, but the Raiders got better for the offseason for what they're trying to do for the future. So I think it's a win-win, to be honest.
I disagree. I think the Raiders lost. I think the Raiders lost out on a decent player with Jakobi Meyers.
For sure.
And the fact is that you don't have decent players. You're trying to build your roster after so many coaching and influential changes happen in your organization. This is a wait to see. I don't want to gamble on the possibility.
Right.
Possibility we get a good pick.
For sure.
The possibility we get somebody to set off, because look, and when you talk about the where that pick is, a 4th and a 6th round pick, look, I don't ever put that much emphasis on rookies,
for sure,
because they haven't proven themselves on the next level. So I can give a damn of what you attributed or you accomplished in college. That's what you're going to do in this level. Right. That matters to me. I think the Raiders lost.
No, that's fair.
They handled the whole situation wrong.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders lost.
Right. Well, I think, like you said, Linc, I think that the Raiders handled this situation wrong from the beginning. I don't think that this was taken care of very, very good. But the reality is they were going to lose him. Right?
I do agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like at some point they were going to lose him. So at least they got something for him instead of, him walking at the end of the year and they get absolutely nothing. I'd rather them get something at this stage of the game. But as you know, I'm a big Jakobi Meyers guy. I love him as a dude. I love his family. As his dad is A1 since day one. So I'm disappointed that he's gone, but I get the reality of it.
Yeah, and the good part about it is I think Jakobi will be able to thrive in a place like Jacksonville. He'll be somewhere where they do want him, because I think the Raiders also struggled with knowing if he could be that number one guy or if he was that number one guy, even if there was a lot of people that may have believed that Jakobi could be that number one guy. And, even last season, he was one of the most reliable guys on the team and probably one of the bright spots on the offense. So Jakobi's in a better place. And at the same time, when you think about the draft, I'll say this, you never know how you're going to draft. You can draft someone and they might not turn out to be what you expected them to be. So regardless we've seen that a lot, right? So regardless of how many draft picks you have, I am very interested in seeing what Spy Tech does now, because, that's been the hoopla around him, has been like, oh, well, look what Spy Tech did with Tampa. He drafted really well. And I think this is a chance for the Raiders with their picks to possibly even make some moves, guys, because they might be able to make some moves with those picks as well. So that'll be interesting. But coming up on the other side, Raiders, Broncos, we're going to get into that preview. Thursday Night Football. The guys will tell you their takeaways and who they're going to be taking tonight. So that's coming up next on the other side. Keep it locked here on the Locked On Network. You're listening or watching the Raider Squad Show. You know the saying, look good, feel good. The problem is that most dress clothes check one of those boxes. They look sharp but feel stiff, hot, and high maintenance. That's where Mizzen & Main. Mizzen & Main makes classic menswear with performance fabric, so it's effortless to look sharp and feel comfortable. They actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, and they perfected it ever since. So you can go from the office to dinner or even go out to the golf course and still feel comfortable all day. Right now, Mizzen & Main is offering our listeners 20% off your first purchase at mizzenandmain.com with promo code LOCKEDONNFL20. That's Mizzen spelled MIZZEN and Main, MAIN.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL20 for 20% off. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen & Main in select stores in select states. Welcome back, Raider Nation. Remember, if you like the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media channels. You'll see in the description below the ways that you can connect with us. And in the final segment, Q and Linc will be taking some of your questions. We'll be reading some of your comments. So please drop them in the chat if you're watching this on our YouTube feed. If you're listening to us, you can always drop those comments later, and we may be able to get to it on another episode. We got to get into Thursday Night Football now. And, before we get into all of that, though, there are some key injury updates, obviously, to tell you about. And we'll start off with the Broncos, actually, because they had a full list as well. But it sounds like a couple of guys that did not participate on Wednesday yesterday and will be out is Nate Atkins, their tight end, PJ Locke, and Pat Surtain, who did not participate as well. He'll be out. So, some big losses there for the Broncos, but for the Raiders, looking pretty good. I'm looking at theirs, and it seems like Adam Butler was limited Wednesday, but he's questionable. Q and Linc, any update on Adam Butler and if he'll be playing in this game?
I don't know if he's going to play or not. I mean, with the questionable status there, but I'll say, to me, it's kind of concerning if you remember, I mean, going into week 7 against the Kansas City Chiefs, he was healthy until he wasn't, right? I mean, he got out there and pregame started to warm up and his back tightened up and he wasn't able to go. So they had to go ahead and make him inactive in that game. But that was like right before the kickoff. So that's something to pay attention to. They're going to need Adam Butler. They're going to need everyone that they can, all hands on deck on this game. So it's definitely something to pay attention to with Adam Butler. I hate to see that for him because when he's in there, he is a hell of a player at that position and does a really good job as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, that's something to pay attention to. And then Isaiah Polamau as well. I think he's questionable. So he's another guy to pay attention to. Obviously, he came up with a big interception last week against Jacksonville.
Much like you have said, all hands on deck. We need everybody. This is not a complete enough team to where you can have some star players or some starters step aside and make the best out of them. So I'm hoping Adam Butler plays tonight. I'm hoping that they find a way to utilize the deficiencies in that Bronco defense that we've seen so far. And look, it's coming in the secondary. With Surtain sitting down, hopefully they can take a chance at it. And that's why I did not like the Jakobi Meyers trade when it happened. Right. Because there's a possibility of getting a receiver open on the next level. We got to have a competent receiver. So the receivers got to do their job tonight at creating space and getting separation when they run their routes. That's going to be a big tell for how this game goes for the Raiders.
Yeah, and as Q mentioned it, Isaiah Polamau also limited. He has a hip injury that he's been dealing with, so he's questionable as well. So, the secondary will need him tonight. This is a Broncos team that has played extremely well, and I think they've surprised a lot of people this season. Doubt. Just in terms of your guys' thoughts on the Broncos this season, Q, will go with you first. What are your thoughts on the Broncos, how they performed, and just on Bo Nix in his sophomore year?
Well, Bo Nix, I think, has probably been the weak link right now on the Denver team, right? He's still a guy that's questionable. I was never real high on Bo Nix coming out of during the draft process. He's good for what they do. Like, I want to make sure that I make that perfectly clear. Sean Payton identified him as the guy that he wants to build around, and you see he's had success with them. So he has moments, but right now, as I was talking to some Bronco people on yesterday on my radio show, they said, look, right now he's getting away with things in the regular season that he's not going to get away with in the postseason, right? He's still making mistakes that rookies make. So he gives you opportunities to make plays. He'll throw a ball in harm's way. He'll short hop a ball to one of their wide receivers. He doesn't try to let plays develop. A lot of times he'll try to get out there and run. So there's a lot of mistakes that he's making. He hasn't quite developed into that true franchise quarterback that they're looking for, but he's still good for what Sean Payton and company want to do. The Broncos, they butter their bread by way of the defense, man. Their defense, those are naturally bloodthirsty pirates, man. They get after the quarterback with their front four. Their front seven is really good. I mean, they're going to try to stop the run. This is a game that the Raiders are going to have to try to run the rock and possess it a lot longer than 20-something minutes. They're not going to be able to have their defense on the field for 40-something minutes like they did against Jacksonville. But those dudes on defense, man, they get after it. They're getting after the quarterback, like I said before, leading the league in sacks with 40. They have a ton of takeaways as well. That is where the Raiders can get in trouble really quickly in this game. And when I say the Raiders, I really mean Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Look, I've covered a lot of Bo Nix in college. When he was in Oregon and before he came over Auburn, I saw a lot of football from this young man. I think they've got their franchise quarterback in the future. But I understand that there's what I've always deemed a sophomore slump. Mm-hmm. Teams are going to get a knock on what he does and what he does well and try to take that away and make him adjust. He's still growing. But for this defense, for this team that we're talking about, the Broncos, it's a defense-led team.
Yep.
It is a defensive-led team. They will find their running game. I hope they don't do it against the Raiders. They will find their passing game. Hope they don't do it against the Raiders.
Right.
They will find that offensive fluidity that's going to happen with the way they're playing things and the way they're doing things. But I'm hoping the Raiders can step up and have a game of their lives on Thursday night on primetime television to see the Raiders play well, because I'm hoping the best for the Raiders. It's Q. You already know it's not, man. It's not looking good. And I've always kept it real with you. I've always kept it real.
I know.
I'm trying to figure out if this team is ready to win, and if they're ready to win now on the primetime showcase that's going to be happening tonight.
Listen, Q, you got to clear this up, man. There was Troy Skillman, who is a fan of the show.
That's what I'm laughing at. That's what I'm laughing at.
So listen, okay. So here's the thing. I don't know where this came from. Some people were saying you were wearing a Broncos shirt. You were not wearing a Broncos shirt the other day. Let's clear this up.
What do I need to clear this up? Q, hit me. What happened?
Lincoln, you were sitting next to me. Okay, I know it because this is funny, and I don't even know why we're taking time on this, but this is funny. So Troy on Monday said I was wearing a Broncos jersey. Again, you were sitting next to me, Lincoln.
Yeah,
I was wearing a red Nike shirt.
Right.
I do own other colors of clothes that are more than silver and black. I had a red Nike Elite shirt. I wear red all the time. It's actually one of my favorite colors, especially when I'm on edge. So, yes, I was wearing a red shirt. I don't own anything Broncos. Now I
didn't know this.
I called the Broncos. I called the edge rushers bloodthirsty pirates, and so now I'm showing my true Bronco fandom. Like, that's so funny. But I'm sorry, Troy. I will not call them bloodthirsty pirates again. That is the funniest thing ever. But yeah, my haul of Broncos that I have in my house here.
God, been to your house many times. Never. I know it to be true. I'm sorry, Q. I'm sorry that happened to you, brother.
Hey, look. Sometimes, man, common sense ain't so common, man. It's okay.
No, I had to bring it up because I didn't want to
end. Good camera. Like, I have a really good camera, so you should be able to see that my shirt is red or was red and not orange. Like, I don't own anything orange in my library of clothes. That is so funny to me. But thank you, Troy. That's a good laugh.
No, I think we had to clear it up. I didn't want anyone calling you a Broncos fan or a Donkey fan. So I was like, listen, we gotta clear this up.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Like, everyone knows better than that. God.
Exactly.
You want to tell us? Q, you want something you want to tell us?
Yeah.
You didn't convert over to the Donkeys, right?
Man, I just turned 49 on Monday, and now you guys found out my dark secret. I've been a Bronco fan the whole time.
Just keep it real, Q. Just tell us.
Hey, man, apparently.
Super D, like, legit just read my mind. He was like, Q being a closet Broncos fan. Oh, my God. Not a Broncos fan, right?
Who would have known? Who would have known?
That's beautiful. Happy birthday. Take that one with you.
We don't want to see you in that brutal, god-awful orange that they have. The Donkeys have,
don't own one shirt that is the color orange, but that's okay.
All right. All right. So we've cleared up that Q is not a closet Donkeys fan. So we're going to move on now to the game. You guys mentioned it. This defense is elite. They're one of the best defenses in the league. The Broncos are 7-2. They're on a 6-game win streak, but it's Thursday night football, a short week. And the Raiders offense did look better after the bye week. Let's give them some credit, right? They looked a little bit better, but I think this game is going to be about the trenches. And Q, you mentioned it, 40 sacks. Their D-line is immaculate. Like, they look legit, and they're going up against a Raiders O-line, Linc, that has struggled so much. And this game, like any football game, it's one in the trenches. How do you think this D-line will match up against this O-line, and what do the Raiders have to do to win this game? We'll go with you first, Linc.
Establish a run. They have to establish a run. There's no doubt about it. Look, teams have gotten the knock on how to play against Geno Smith. Play cover 2, play shallow. They're going to take away the short stuff. You're going to force you to throw intermediate or long, but they have to run the football because that's the only thing the Raiders have at their availability to run the football. They don't have an intermediate to long passing game to where they can stretch this defense and really force them to open up. The Broncos are going to load the box. I've seen the defense. I know they're going to do that. They're going to bring their strong safety down as a buzz safety that's going to be in the box. The receivers are going to have to do what they can to dig out those safeties to give you an extra protection, but you're going to have to run the football. It's just that simple. You're going to have to run the football. You're going to have to give your defense a break. You're going to have to establish your offense. It's going to come down to running the football. So Chip Kelly, with his with his first, script, if you will, scripted plays, is going to have to show that we are committed to running the football to keep that Denver Bronco defense on its heels. Right now, they're tilted all forward. They know they can come after this passing attack. Limited what it is, and they know they can get pressure because they know that we can sit on the short routes and take the long stuff. We don't have to worry about the long stuff. They're not going to have enough time to look down the field. So we're gonna crowd the box, we're gonna crowd the pocket, and we're gonna force them to get rid of the football early. But the Raiders have got to run the football.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's going to be a huge test, Lincoln. I've been saying that this is the biggest test that this offensive line is going to face so far this year. Right, because those dudes do get after the quarterback, and we know that Geno Smith has been sacked a ton of times. He's not going to run. I mean, he's an awkward runner, right? He's an awkward slider. I mean, it's not very good. So he's not doing that. they're going to have to show a commitment to the run. But Linc, they haven't shown a commitment to the run yet this year.
I know.
Right?
Wishful thinking.
That's
Wishful thinking on my part. Wishful
Yeah.
thinking. There's no doubt about it. I agree with you, Q. Go ahead.
I don't understand, and that's why it feels like to me that the philosophies aren't quite on the same page. I don't feel like Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly are on the same page when it comes to how they want this offense ran, how they want this team ran, what do they want this identity of the team to be. I mean, again, I know that the offensive line hasn't been great, but Linc, if an offensive line is struggling, you much rather run block than you do pass pro, right? I mean,
without a doubt, push forward rather than accept back. Push
exactly.
Forward
That will get an offensive line in a lather if they can go ahead and instill their will on the defensive line of the Broncos or any other team. So I think this is the opportunity to do that. Plus, you don't want to put Geno in harm's way, and you don't want to be off the field. Again, this defense cannot be on the field for 40-something minutes in that kind of altitude. On top of that, it just can't work. That's a recipe for a blowout. It really is.
Chantel and Q, the Raiders are 4th in the National Football League with 16.5 points scored in a game. Slow down the game. Yeah. Slow down the game. Take the bite away from the opposing offenses because you don't have the offensive firepower. Slow down the game. It's simple football. This is not hard to figure out. I want to run the ball. I want to commit to run the ball because if anything, I want to take as much time off the clock and try to put myself in a position to score. Right. To possibly win. This is not going to be a 20-point blowout. The offense of the Raiders isn't efficient enough for that. So okay, let's play within our boundary. We're looking to 15 points or less, almost a game of field goals. Control the clock. Keep the ball away from opposing offenses because I don't want them to score 7s if I'm only going to have to settle for 3s. That's my logic when it comes to Thursday Night Football in this game, especially, guys.
But here's the thing, guys. The Broncos are like top 10 in rush defense. So like we want to run the ball.
Hit your head against a pole, one or the other.
So here's the thing. We know that they've struggled offensively in the past game. Geno struggled to get protection as well. He's not using his legs, even though Geno can. Like he has the ability to be a mobile quarterback, but we're not seeing him do that this season. And then we want Jeanty to run the ball, but then the Broncos have this elite rush defense where they're top 10 in the league. I think they allow like less than 100 yards on the ground.
You got to push it.
How tough of a game is this going to be for a guy like Jeanty? Because there's no Jakobi Meyers, so all eyes are going to be on Brock Bowers. Like, let's be serious. Like Brock, I don't think Brock's going to get more than 7 catches today. If you're betting, I don't think today's the day he's going to get more than 7.
It's funny. I'm glad you said that though, because Pat Surtain does a really good job against Brock Bowers. Like the first time they went up against each other, then Brock did well. Yeah. The second time you saw Pat Surtain really step up and cover him. There's no Pat Surtain. So, as I was doing the crossover edition with Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, he was saying that, well, Dre Greenlaw will probably be matched up. I'll take that. I'll take my chances with the linebacker. And I know Dre Greenlaw is one hell of a linebacker. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the best out there. But if you're going to tell me that a linebacker is going to match up against Brock Bowers, I'll take that chance. I really will. So this may be a game, and Lincoln, tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe they have to try to throw the ball immediately, quickly, get the ball in his hand to try to loosen things up to allow Jeanty to get the run game going. I mean, it might not necessarily be a run the ball to set up the pass. It might be a reverse it, kind of pass the ball to set up the run.
If I'm Chip Kelly, I'm going to this game knowing the defense is going to be looking for Brock Bowers. Mm-hmm. I understand that. What I'm trying to create within my quarterback and the opportunity with other players, somebody else is going to have to stand up.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get the ball to Michael Mayer. I'm going to have to get the ball to Trey Tucker. I'm going to have to get the ball to someone else. Minus Jakobi Meyers, that's one of the reasons why I did not like the Jakobi Myers trade. Minus Jakobi Myers, somebody else is going to have to step up.
And he plays well against Denver.
Yes. And that, yeah. You're added to the fusion of the fire. Look, it comes down to this, where a quarterback understands what the defense is going to do to him in this offense. They're going to take away the short passes. They're going to take away Brock Bowers. I need to find someone else. I need to be open to the possibility that some other number comes available, and I have to get the football to them.
Yeah,
that's team play. That's team play. And much of your point, Chantel, yes, they are good in the run defense, but I need to show that I have some confidence in my offensive line and my offensive structure of things, where I want to commit to the run because I want to give my defense a break. I want to keep them off the field for longer than the offense is. So I want to maintain time of possession. This comes back into one of those classic old school games. Run the football, score touchdowns, put you in the best position to win.
All right, well, there you have it, Raider Nation. That's how the Raiders need to get things going offensively. Coming up on the other side, the guys are going to give you their defensive breakdown and what the defense needs to do to slow down this Broncos offense, and of course, Bo Nix as well. So keep it locked here on the Locked On Network. You're watching or listening to the Raider Squad Show. NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between login screens and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Gametime. The app gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. That's the best thing about Gametime. They don't have those hidden fees. If you use other apps to get tickets, third-party apps, usually there's a bunch of fees that get added onto the end, and usually it's more than $100. Not on the Gametime app. What you see is what you pay. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Gametime app today. Welcome back, Raider Nation. Remember, if you like that content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media channels. In the final segment, Q and Linc are going to be taking some of your questions, your comments, so get those in the chat right now. And as I've mentioned, if you are watching or listening to this later, you can always drop some comments into our YouTube or hit us up on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it right now, and we might be able to get to it on another episode. Guys, we talked about the offense. We got to talk about the defense now, because the Broncos have been rolling in a sense where, you know, they've got lots of different weapons. You know, it's not just J.K. Dobbins on the ground. You got a guy like R.J. Harvey that's been balling as well. And, you know, you talked about the run game. You know, when the defense is out on the field a long time, the run game can wear them down. And this is a Broncos team that can run the ball. Just your guys' thoughts on what the Broncos have to do offensively to, you know, get past the Raiders, but what the Raiders really have to do to stop this offense that's been thriving as of late, Q.
Well, they got to stop the run first. I mean, and that's something that Jacksonville had a lot of success with, right? They ran for the ball over 150 yards, ran the rock 42 times. Like, the Raiders can't do that. The Raiders, actually, that's the strength of their defense, which is scary, to stop the run, and they didn't stop the run at all, right? I mean, myself, I could have ran for a couple yards against them on a Sunday. That's a problem, right? And the thing with Denver is that they can run the ball, but for some reason they start to have success with it and they go away. They're not consistent. They're not committed to it as well. And I know that's something that Sean Payton said they need to get back to. And they have a couple guys, like you mentioned, J.K. Dobbins. R.J. Harvey is a guy that not only can he run the ball really well, but he also catches it out of the backfield as well. Yeah. So they're going to get those guys involved. So I would not be surprised at all to see a heavy dose of the run game, especially if the Raiders prove early on that they can't stop it. So they've got to have to go ahead and establish themselves as being able to stop the run first and foremost. Try, and again, it's a big try. Maybe that's in all caps. Try to make the Broncos one-dimensional.
Between Dobbins and Harvey, they are definitely going to try to run the football, especially coming off the heels of last week's game, how it ended. The Raiders did a good job in the first half of shutting down the run. In the second half, they got exposed. This is a team that's going to commit to running the football. Sean Payton wants to do it because he wants to take the pressure off his sophomore quarterback.
Yep.
Look, this is a down year statistically for his quarterback, but this team is still winning football games. They have a defense, they have a running game, they have things that they can focus on. And so the Raiders are going to have to shut down the run and force them to be one-dimensional. That's a hard task to ask against these Broncos.
Yeah, and it's not only the run game as well. You know, they got a deep threat in Cortland Sutton, and usually he's making, you know, big plays as well. Franklin's been very good for them as well. You know, and R.J. Harvey in the pass game, I feel like has also been kind of scary in terms of trying to cover this Broncos offense. How do the Raiders contain guys
Chantel,
like
here's
Cortland
the thing.
Sutton?
The Raiders are going to play high because they're going to take away the deep ball, deep threat, and everything else. But it's going to make them susceptible in the box to run the football. Yeah. That's where you're going to have the guys that from the safeties in, they're going to have to play a lot better. And that's what the Raiders can't afford to commit to. You can't afford to commit an extra person like a safety into the run box to shut down the run because they do have that long strike possibility. So that they're going to keep a person high. They're going to make you earn it, which has always been the Patrick Graham defense. I'm going to make you earn it. If you have to drive down the field to get it, so be it. I'm thinking I have my fair set of mistakes that I can make between the time of there and getting to the end zone. But make no doubt about it. The Broncos are going to run the football because they want to take the pressure off of their quarterback, especially primetime. Primetime.
Yeah.
Well, and on top of that, trust and believe they're going to have a lot of targets towards Darian Porter's side. Right, they're going to test him early and often. You saw Jacksonville go after him. I mean, and they should, right? He's a rookie. He's just getting his first real taste of the action. So why not go after him? Eric Stokes, I've said many times on this show, has had a really good season. Quietly, he's had a really good season, right? He hasn't taken the ball back the other way, but he's playing some pretty good ball. So if I'm going to be Sean Payton and company, I'm going to say, hey, Bo, go ahead and target that guy and see what he's got. At least test him. So I expect that they will have a heavy dose of the run game. What a concept, right? Throwing the ball to the running back out of the backfield. I mean, you could do that.
Hey,
cool.
Someone tell Chip. Right?
It's okay to do that. That's fine, right? So yeah, but really, man, it's going to be a lot of the run game, and it's going to be a lot of targets towards Darian Porter's side.
Yeah, and obviously Courtland Sutton, he's like a great deep threat. So the Raiders have to take away those deep balls for sure. And when they run cover 3, you're man to man on the outside, and that's where my concern comes.
Speak on assists. I love it when you talk dirty. I like that.
I learned so much from Madden, you guys. You have no idea. So
she said she learned so much from Madden.
I do.
Oh my gosh.
Whenever I've said this before on the show.
I've ever heard that.
That's how I've been learning the plays, guys. No, I'm not joking. But so how do the Raiders kind of stop the deep threat? And do you guys think that there's a player on this secondary that can slow down a guy like Courtland Sutton who can be explosive, especially when it comes to the deep ball?
I mean, that's going to be the safety help over the top. I mean, it's just that's the reality of it, right? Isaiah pull him out. If he's out there, and I'm expecting him to be out there, he's going to have to, put in that work. He's going to have to really protect. And I think that you'll see him probably shade more over to Darian Porter's side because I think everyone realizes that they're going to go and attack the rookie, right? And so there's going to be a lot of work. Jeremy Chin's been coming up and sliding a lot into the big nickel, right into that slot. So he's there. So I think there's going to be a lot on Isaiah's plate, and he's going to have to be on point, and he usually comes up with a big hit or two. He's started to get into that little bit of a category of he's that late hit guy, and he's been getting a few penalties here and there. He's going to have to play a clean game, and he's going to have to be able to protect deep because they're going to definitely take some deep shots. Bo Nix has a really strong arm, and he has that connection with Troy Franklin and Sutton, but Troy Franklin going back to college, right? I mean, those are old Oregon teammates together, so they definitely have a nice chemistry. So they're going to test the Raiders deep a few times for sure, just to see if the Raiders could hold up.
From the site test, I don't have the stats in front of me. I've been looking for it all morning. The overall blitz package that the Raiders produce, they're not a heavy blitz team. They're not a heavy. They're not a heavy run. I mean, let me say that they're not a heavy blitz team. They need to blitz on second down. They need to find a way to get off the field on third downs. And I know they're going to react to playing coverage on third downs. That's why second downs become so much of an influence on what the Broncos are trying to do offensively. So with that being said, look, Patrick Graham's going to have to come out of his shell. He's going to have to draw up a blitz because he hasn't been able to get there in the last couple of games with his front four.
Right.
They've got to produce pressure. They've got to find a way to get the ball out of opposing quarterbacks' hands quicker rather than later. If they sit back there and just wait, they're going to be picked apart. We've seen that time and time again. So they've got to find a way to increase their blitz package. I don't know if it happens tonight. But they do need to find a way to get to Bo Nix early and often.
Yeah. Hey, Jamal Adams. You can use Jamal Adams to get after the quarterback. He already is playing up.
But he's a liability in coverage.
Right. He's a big liability in coverage. That's why I said blitz him. Have him attack, right? Attack downhill. Big that's the problem, Lincoln. That's the problem with the linebacking core, right? They're guys that can come downhill. They're guys that are sure tacklers for the most part, even though the Raiders missed a ton of tackles last week. But they're sure tacklers, and they're really good against stopping the run. But they're not in coverage. In coverage, there's guys wide open all the time. There's guys running open, and the communication, the pass off is not there. So that's it's like a pick your poison. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you have Jamal on the field and you want him to get after the quarterback, he better get home. If not, you're cooked.
True story.
Yeah, and the Raiders got to make sure they don't miss their tackles in this game.
Yeah.
A little bit,
Without
Oh my
a little bit
gosh.
rusty after the bye week, right, guys? We always talk about X factors in the game, and we talked about a couple of guys that you want to see step up. But who do you think will be the X factor for the Raiders, or should be the X factor for the Raiders in this game? Professor Kennedy, you're thinking right now, so cue your clap, and you get to go first. Who's your X factor in this game?
Well, I'm excited about this one because anyone who's listened to me for any amount of time knows that I've been begging and screaming and trying to pull the rest of the hair that I have, which isn't a whole lot, out of my head, talking about a kick return for a touchdown, kick return to the house. Raheem Mostert returned the ball 5 times against Jacksonville for over 200 yards in return yards. Now, I know he didn't take one to the house. By the way, the Raiders haven't had a kickoff return to the house since Jakobi Ford did it. Right?
Wow.
Jakobi Ford was in a suite.
Oh my gosh, really?
Jakobi Ford was in a suite on Sunday at Allegiant Stadium. Yes,
I sat next to him.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a long
been
time
that
since
long?
the Raiders have taken one to the house on a
Wow.
kickoff. I've been begging for that. That they don't have that dynamic in their bag. Raheem Mostert looks like he might be able to be that guy. I just knew sitting in the press box on Sunday, I was like, man, he's going to take one back tonight. And he put the Raiders in really good position. He had a long return of 54 yards. Like, he is doing that. He's trying to prove he deserves to be on the field. Even as a veteran at his stage of the game in his career, he's saying, I deserve to be on the field. I'll do it by any means necessary. I think that's going to have to be the X factor right there. Going to have to get some good, favorable field position by way of the kickoff return. So I'm looking for Raheem Mostert. He doesn't necessarily have to take one to the house. I'd like him if he did, but he's going to have to go ahead and put the Raiders in good field position.
Interesting concept, Q and Chantel. Well, the Broncos are going to kick away from him. They're going to kick away from him. They're not going to give him the football. If that's his one play of snap, and right. Look, there's some semblance. I agree with you, and so I never thought about that in the concept, but they're going to kick away from him. So right. He's not a factor when it comes to play and who needs to stand out. I'm fixated on the defense. I need somebody else to stand up other than 98.
Yeah.
I need someone else to have an incredible game other than 98.
Yep.
I need somebody to find a way to create a short side of the field for the offense to maybe get a score with a turnover, but I need somebody else to stand up other than 98.
Yep.
That's fair. I mean, and there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity for guys to step up with no Jakobi Meyers.
Especially with this offensive line with the Broncos. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
See, Linc, the question is, who's going to do that, though? Right? I mean, because the Raiders have been asking for that guy to step up that's not 98 for a long time, right? They went and signed Chandler Jones. They went, they brought in Malcolm Kuntz, obviously. He's been there. He had one quick, minute in the light in 2023. They went and drafted Tyree Wilson. Like, they bring all these guys in. They went and signed Christian Wilkins to be that guy in the defensive tackle position, to be a difference maker. Nobody has stepped up and said, hey, I'm going to be your true running buddy. That's been the Raiders' biggest problem. Right, is they don't have that other blue chip guy on defense, and honestly, they don't have that other blue chip guy on defense, right? And I'm not just talking about the defensive line. Like, where's the standout corner that people are afraid of? They don't want to throw the ball their way. Where's their Namdi? They don't have one.
Yeah,
right. Where's that linebacker that's like a Roquan Smith? They don't have one. Where's their safety that's like a Ed Reedish type guy, or who was the one Earl Thomas? They don't have one. They don't have another blue chip guy on defense, and that's why they're going to need to do that. If they're going to build this team the right way, they've got to do that. And I hate saying that because that means that, they're not where they need to be yet, and that means that they still have work to do. But that's the biggest problem, is that they have one blue chip dude on defense, and everybody knows who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Max Crosby. And, when Gino was struggling, people were like, let Max play quarterback, because he was doing everything on the field. Max can do everything, right? We love Max, and he means a lot to the squad. All right, so Thursday Night Football, short week. The Raiders looked a little bit better than the week before the bye week when they didn't score any points. So there's some faith there.
But they won the bye week. They won the bye week. They didn't win that.
Really.
Well, come on, Q. Give them some hope.
I'm just saying there was some. Well, you're right. I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. I don't want to bring up old stuff.
All right. So when it comes to this game, Thursday Night Football, massive game. They're going to be in Denver for this one. Q, who do you have winning, and what will the final score be?
I don't have any idea what the final score is going to be. I'm not going to lie to you. I ain't going to lie to you, Chantel. I don't feel good about this game at all. I really don't. Just because of the way that those dudes get after the quarterback, I think it's good. I think this is a recipe for a disaster for Geno Smith. If he holds onto the ball, if he starts, just staring down Brock Bowers too much, I think this is a game that can get away from the Raiders really quickly. I think Denver's going to win. I really do. I hate that. But I know that crazy things happen on Thursday. So I hope that that's what happens. And I hope I'm absolutely 100% wrong. I do not have a good feeling on this game going into it.
I'm biased because I don't like the Donkeys. I don't like the Chiefs. I don't like the
either.
Chargers. I don't like any of them. I want them to beat it every time.
Me too.
I wish that we go back to the days where we owned the Broncos, but that's not going to happen. I agree with Q, but I'm going to say the Raiders win. Damn
there
it.
you go. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go, Linc. That's what I'm talking about, Big Linc. There you go.
20-17. I think the Raiders win. They're not going to score that much points.
Honestly, I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
I agree.
I haven't been impressed with the Donkeys, their offense. I haven't. I'm not going to lie about that. The problem is, are the Raiders going to protect the ball? Right? Is Geno going to turn the rock over? If he turns the rock over, it's trouble. Right. But if he doesn't, they're giving themselves a chance, because that's really how Denver. I mean, they barely squeaked by Houston last week, but Houston has a really good, they have a really good defense. Right. And they've struggled against teams like Jacksonville or I don't know maybe it wasn't Jacksonville. Maybe it was Tennessee. I don't know. Yeah. They've struggled offensively. So they're going to give the Raiders a chance. But can the Raiders take advantage of it? That's the biggest question.
The Broncos play cover 2 very well. They play a Tampa 2 that is very strong.
Yeah, it is
very strong. That has been the nemesis for Geno Smith all season. And so as much as Chantel and Q, as much as I love the Raiders and I cannot stand any other team in our division, I got to give credit where credit is due. But I'm going to stay fast.
There you go.
Prediction. Let's go Raiders. Let's win a close one.
Hey, let's get behind our blocker, Chantel. Let's get behind our blocker.
Boom. Boom. I'm gonna open up the hole. I'm gonna show you how I open up the hole. Boom.
There you go.
And there was some questions and comments about Linc, getting back on the field or maybe becoming a coach.
No. That stuff not happening.
Chantel, I'm so glad you brought that up. What? I cannot tell you how many times when Lincoln's on my radio show, I get comments of Q, ask Lincoln when he's going to come back and coach. And I was like, he's not. He says it every time. Like everyone always says, Linc, you should be a coach. He's like, nah, I'll end up throwing a battery at these guys.
You absolutely know. Q, you know me.
I know.
You know me. You know I don't take that. I don't take that BS. I will throw something at the back of your head, and I will hit you in the front of your head just because I'm man enough to do that. But trust me, if the first player that sits up there and says, "Oh, I got this, coach," whoa. You lost your damn mind.
Well,
lost your damn mind.
This day and age now, we don't want to hear any reports about Linc bullying the players. So I could see that with coaching, right?
No, it's not happening.
That's funny though, because one of the first times we did the show, after the show, I was like, man, shouldn't Linc be like a coach on the team? So I've thought about it too. I do think that Geno's going to throw an interception today. I'm being real. I'm betting on that, but I bet on it every game. It hits every game.
Oh, wow. You bet on it every game?
And it hits every game. But I will say this, Q changed my mind actually today when he was like, listen, like I think that Brock Bowers might have a good game because Greenlaw's going to be obviously trying to, take away Brock Bowers' shine tonight, but I think he might get more than 6.5 catches. I do think the Raiders, I think they're going to have a tough game, but I do think if there's any game they can win, it's a divisional matchup, and it's on Thursday Night Football.
Yes,
so I think So I think Geno will throw an interception, but I have faith that the Raiders can maybe pull this one off, guys. So if you're betting, I'm just saying, coming up on the other side, though, the guys. The guys are going to be, got to keep it real here on the show, okay? The guys are going to be taking some of your questions and comments. You can see the disappointment in Q's face, but if you want to win some bread, it hits every time, guys. On the other side, we're going to be taking some of your questions and comments, guys. So drop them in the chat. You're listening or watching the Raiders Squad Show. and a place where you can pick the interception, PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including Cali, Texas, and Georgia. And the thing about PrizePicks that I love as well is they also have these specials as well. So you might not actually have to take the exact stat line that the betting lines are focused on. There's, the Taco Tuesdays, they have specials, and they also give you a bunch of bonus bets as well. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Welcome back, Raider Nation. Remember, if you like the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And you can also follow us on our social media channels. We're going to get to some questions and comments now that we got in the chat. So if you're still in the chat right now, definitely drop some comments in. Christopher Gonzalez also donated to the show as well. So we'll go to him first. He said, hey, y'all, help me out here. We have 0 chance of a wild card if we win outright. I know you guys didn't want to do math, but I think the Raiders aren't. Yeah.
I mean, if you win out, there's 9 games. You win out, that's 11 wins on the season. I mean, yeah, you're in the playoffs. You'll be a playoff team.
Wild card. The only wild card here is whether or not the Raiders are going to have another win anytime soon. That's a wild card.
All right, let's get.
With his math equation, yeah, I mean, if you win out, you have 9 games. So I mean,
sure, yeah, do that math. I told you I didn't come here to be tested today.
Me neither.
I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express one time, and I thought I was smarter then, but no, not today.
I took basic math 4 times, so I'm good at that.
See, basically, yeah.
I was counting on you guys to do the math, so let's keep me out of it.
Go ahead, sis. You got it. You got it. The gambling eye. You do it. Go ahead.
I did win last night on PrizePicks, but I'll say this.
I bet you did. I bet you did, sis.
People who say they wanted Jakobi to get paid never happen to say why they think he's worth or why they think the Raiders could have signed him for, or what they think the Raiders could have signed him for. Any thoughts on that, Q?
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And when this whole scenario started, I talked to a lot of different people that do, these contracts and what the value of them were. And it was, 2-3 years. You could do a 2-year deal, fully guaranteed, and a 3rd-year team option. It was probably going to be around $20 million, maybe a little bit over $20 million a year, which I don't think is unreasonable, especially with the salary cap going up each and every year. So it'd have been around something like that, around 20, and it'd probably been about two years fully guaranteed, and then an option for the 3rd year.
He's not worthy of, he's not worthy of number 1 money.
No, top end is like 30 plus, 40
Absolutely.
plus.
He's not there.
No,
but I think the Raiders could appease him with something around what Q is talking about. If you put him in the $20 million, $18 to $20 million area, I think you could have appeased him and kept him. And the thing is that for me, it's not about losing per se Jakobi Meyers. It's about the Raiders have let go so many good players that could help them win over the last few years. That's what it comes down to me.
Yeah. All right, we'll go over to a good friend of the show, Space Beast, who says, and I think a question could be for both of you guys. Are we finally going to play the rookie O-line and D-line? Of course, everyone's been asking about the O-line in terms of Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers. You guys have said they're not ready yet, but just your thoughts on the Raiders going, with their rookies on the O-line or the D-line, guys.
I don't know when they're going to make the move to the younger guys. It's tough on a short week, because you're not really getting a whole lot of practice in. So if anything, I expect him maybe even against the Cowboys when they have a little bit extra time, since they don't play till Monday Night Football. It's kind of like a mini bye that they're going to have after tonight's game. I can see that, but anytime, I guess, afterwards, right? And I think Pete Carroll still is holding on to the hope that they're going to start, winning a bunch of games and going on a winning streak. He's not ready to say that this season is going to be a wash, right? He's not ready to say that. He's not there, and that goes back to, is the right hand and the left hand on the same page? I don't know if they are. And I don't know if the conversations upstairs are the same conversations they're having downstairs. Right. And that's just,
Q, I haven't followed Pete Carroll enough in Seattle in his days and dealing with situations like this to see what is the standard. But I agree with your points. I really do. I think that I'm of the mindset that you need to play your young guys to see what you have in the cupboard before you go shopping. I'm of that mindset. And I think there's no better time than now to do that. However, because it is a short week, does it come with more, more possibility after this because of the mini buy that Q is speaking on, the time that you have between now and the Cowboys? Or does it happen now? For me, I'm throwing them out there. That's just my if I'm head coach, I'm throwing them out there. Get your ass out there and play.
Right.
We drafted you. We picked you. You got your National Football League. Now get your ass out there and play and show me what you can do. And I need to evaluate it from that point, because being realistic and being practical and realistic, the season is done. I mean, you can make a run, but they're not good enough to make a run. So let's be honest. The season is done. We're evaluating for the future. If we're stockpiling draft picks and collateral that way, if we're going to go that route, I need to see what I have in the cupboard.
Well, see,
I need to see before I go shopping. I need to see what I have in my kitchen cupboard.
And that's a great point, and I agree with you 100%. What I heard from Pete Carroll on Monday when we talked to him, and Vinny Bonsignore, matter of fact, asked him the question, are you willing to move an asset now that may ding your team, but it'll also help you for the future? And he said, I don't believe in that. Right. So that's what made me believe that the philosophies are not the same, right? I think there's a part of the organization, John Spytek and company, that want to see the young guys, see what they have so they can, again, like you said, Lincoln, they can see what they have before they go shopping. And I think there's another part of the organization, Pete Carroll, that wants to just win games right now. That's why you bring in a Tyler Lockett, right? Instead of and make Dante Thornton Jr. a healthy scratch. So I don't think that the philosophies are on the same page right now. To me, that's the biggest problem. In New York with the Jets, you saw what they did. They traded Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner. They all agree the season's done. We need to get as many assets as possible for the future. So they all made the organizational decision to do that and prepare for the future. The Raiders aren't there yet. They moved Jakobi Meyers. That's all they moved. And a guy that was probably going to walk in free agency anyway. And they weren't going to get a comp pick because they're going to spend a lot of money in free agency. And they were getting that math problem. Again, going back to math, I was told there was going to be none. It wasn't going to work out.
I don't want to test. I told you guys I don't want to test. I didn't wake up this morning for the test.
So that's the problem. So that's why I don't think that the philosophies are meshing right now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Raider fans were probably relieved that JPJ and Max Crosby were not dealt at the trade deadline. And hopefully tonight we'll see what the Raiders can do taking on the Broncos. Remember, we'll be back on Monday and we'll be breaking down everything that we saw. But obviously you can catch up with Q's Locked On Raiders and he'll be breaking it down as well. And Q, you'll also be on doing your thing after the game on ESPN, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I got game night tonight from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. I got my afternoon show. I got the podcast. Got a little bit of something of everything. You know,
I'll be on post game tonight with JT. But
that's right.
Could you wear your red shirt for me?
I might wear it tomorrow. Hey, I'll tell you the true story real quick, and I know we're overtime. Yeah. I am a red polo guy, right? Tiger Woods, Sunday, right? This is a finisher. And when I did sales, when I needed a sale really badly, I had to wear a red polo shirt because that's a power color. It's a power move. So whenever you see me in a red polo, that means I'm on the edge, right? That means I got something to prove.
Power.
Just throwing it out there.
Undercourt Bronco fan. Power.
Yeah. If the Broncos win, Q, we don't want to see you in that red polo. There's gonna
you bet on Gino to throw an interception. What are you
I know. Sneak on it.
All I did is wear a red shirt. You're betting against the quarterback.
I'm just trying to make a little bit of extra money. It's hard out here, okay? It's been hard out here, Q. Things are expensive, okay? Eggs are $10.
Oh my goodness. I love my sister. I love my brother. Oh, this is fun. This is fun. I'm not 20. Oh, I love this. This is beautiful.
All right, Raider Nation. We'll be back on Monday. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you like the content. We'll be back. Enjoy the game tonight, and hopefully the Raiders get that W. We'll see you.
Red polos go around. Everybody wear them. Love it.
Oh, man.